Welcome, everybody. We've got a few people on already. First of all, I want to remind everyone, and I've included this in the chat, that questions will be answered at the end. I understand this will be a more interactive workshop, so Deborah is going to keep you busy. You are welcome to include the questions in the chat as we go, because I know sometimes things come up and you forget about your question later. So do include them there, but they will be answered at the end. And I want to introduce Deborah Gemmell. Gemmell, I have known her for a long time. She is a master whiz on LinkedIn. So whenever I have questions, help, Deborah, what do I do? She's given me some great tips. And that's why we've brought her in to help the Ontario Society of Artists members. So welcome, Deborah. I'm going to let you take over and introduce yourself, and away we go.
Thank you, Lisa and Barbara, for inviting me here. As Lisa said, I am Deborah Gemmell, and I am a success mindset coach and a marketing consultant. And yes, Lisa and I go way back. It was not that long ago, about 8 years ago, when I was starting my coaching business and I needed to get on LinkedIn, and I was absolutely terrified. I thought that everybody on LinkedIn was better than me. It was CEOs and all these really important people, and they were way better than I was. And so I had all these stories going on, and it took me 7 weeks with a coach to get the courage up to actually start posting and being exposed and seen and vulnerable on LinkedIn. So I tell you that because I want you to know that I get it. And the one thing I know as a coach is that the way for us to overcome our fears is to face them and take action with them. And that is why we're here today. So you've taken the first step. I'm just going to see here if I can move forward. So this is because I am a coach. This is a bit more of an interactive space because I understand from my perspective that people get a lot more out of things when they are fully engaged in it. So if you're here, I can't see everybody on the screen and you're not on video, I'd encourage you to go do what you need to do to come back and come up on video and be here 100%. To fully play out, don't be an observer, participate and be a part of here so that you can get the most out of this. I also would encourage you to stay to the end. I know it's a little bit of a long period of time, but I put in a couple of breaks. And so to get the full effect of what you're going to learn here today, I would encourage you, if your calendar allows, to stay right to the end. If you don't already have a pen and paper, go grab one because you're definitely going to want to be taking some notes. If you do have some questions, I am asking if you can please keep them till the end. You might want to write them on the pad because again, it just allows us to be focused. And there's a very high likelihood that as we go through the presentation, your questions will get answered. And that'll allow us just to streamline and take the most amount. And as already said, at the end, we will do a question and answer period. So the one thing I know is that success is about having the courage to take small acts of confidence. Confidence is a result. It is not a prerequisite. So if you've been saying to yourself, I need to have more confidence before I go on LinkedIn, I need to do this, I'm here to tell you that what you actually need is just to take small acts of courage. And I believe that by you coming here today and showing up, you are demonstrating that. So well done. How I got to be here is I have been in the marketing industry for 25 years. I worked in the film business. I worked in the arts, and I worked in the sports industry. And I worked with brands and on marketing and selling property rights to movies and different events that were happening, and 2 large corporate brands to put on their packaging. So really, in essence, they did the marketing for us. So we would create the movie, and I would take the Hulk and I would go to, Top Dog and Kraft Dinner and TD Bank to grow their green and get them to use the movie as a way to market their property for us. And so through that, I have a really good understanding of working with different creatives and different arts. I spent a good part of my career doing that, working with graphic designers and artists. I was doing that before there were actually computers. So we actually used artists to design the hockey cards and to design the packaging and to design the posters. It was actually somebody sitting down old school and drawing. So I'm fortunate to have seen a lot in my career. And that is really what brings me here as a coach. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this. How we are in one part of our life is how we are in all areas of our life. So what we have happening in one area of our life has a ripple effect in other areas. And so if anything we want to do in life, we have to look at what our mindset about. And if our mindset is about fear and scarcity and being seen and vulnerable and exposed, and people are going to make fun of me, and what if I make a mistake, and all these stories, it will stop us. So what I wanted to do today was give you the tactics of LinkedIn from a beginner's perspective, but I also want to give you some mindset resets. And I'm going to do that throughout the presentation to help you start addressing those things, because you can come to all the workshops you want on how to do LinkedIn, but if you're still feeling afraid and scared and intimidated to do it, you're not going to take action. So I wanted to try to empower you with both today. And that is why I'm asking you to show up to the best of your ability today and participate. So we, okay, hang on. I'm having tech problems here. Let me just, so sorry. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, see, and this is the thing, nobody's perfect. So that is just a demonstration of making a mistake. And look, I'm still standing. You don't think I'm horrible or bad or anything like that. So it's all good. And there's a time in my life when what I just did I'd have been mortified that I did it. I would have thought that you thought I was unprofessional and all these other things. And that's just not true. So today, what we're going to do is I'm going to talk about why LinkedIn. Why would you consider LinkedIn for your business? Why have I chosen LinkedIn for my business? Your needs. It's a really important part of the process. You're creating a personal profile on LinkedIn. Then we're going to talk about building your community on LinkedIn. I'm going to talk about posting and engaging and how to do that on LinkedIn. And then, as I just said, we're going to talk about mindset and reset. First, I just want to get everybody to come into the room. I just want us to we've come from all different places. I don't know what kind of a morning you had. So I want to just get you to come into the room, close your eyes. If you're uncomfortable doing that, turn your video off. We're just going to do a breathing exercise to get ourselves centered and present. So close your eyes, and I want you to visualize a rectangle box like a shoebox. And we're starting in the upper right, left corner. And I'm just going to walk you through. So you're going to, as we go draw across the top, you're going to inhale for 3, 2, 1. Then you're going to hold down the side for 3, 2, 1. Then we're going to go across the bottom and exhale for 3, 2, 1. And then up the side, hold for 3, 2, 1. We're going to go across the top again. Inhale, 2, 1. Hold down the side for 3, 2, 1. And then exhale across the bottom for 3, 2, 1. And then back up the side and hold for 3, 2, 1. Open your eyes and give your shoulders a shake. Ground your feet and let us dive in. So I would like everybody to put in the chat box, what is your intention for today? When we do something with intention, it has a lot of power. So I'd like you to drop in the chat box what your intention is for today. What are you hoping to get from today? What brought you to be here today? You're spending 2 hours of your day today doing this. Why are you doing that? Motivate myself, great. Have more of a presence, yes. Really good. To learn how to start, exactly. To learn to use and make connections on LinkedIn, great. Better understand LinkedIn. Okay, so you're definitely in the right place. And thank you for your honesty. So I want you to hold that intention, whatever it was for yourself, as you go through. Keep coming back to why you're here. Okay, so what I want you to know as we go through today is that it's going to feel like a lot of information coming at you. I know this because, as I said, I was exactly where you were 8 years ago, and I know what it feels like. In coaching, we call it feels like a fire hose to the face. So I just want you to know that as you go through this process, as it feels like a whole lot of information, there's going to be additional support if you're interested. I'm going to be offering a private 60-minute strategy session for anybody that's interested. And then I'm going to offer a deep dive group course in a couple of weeks if that's of interest. Really, I just say that to you because I don't want you to spend your time worrying about this and feeling overwhelmed. To just know that you're doing a first pass at this. And whenever we do a first or second pass at anything, it's a lot of stuff coming at us and it's not quite landing yet. And that's okay. You're not alone. So what I'd like to do now is get everybody to put in the chat box who already has a personal account set up on LinkedIn. Doesn't mean if you're not using it, but I just want to know if you've already opened one. Who's done a completed profile? And who is actively using LinkedIn? And that means posting at least twice a week, every week consistently. So if you can just put 1, 2, 3, or 1 and 3, or none, or whatever in the chat box, just to give me an idea of where everybody is at. 1 and 2, okay, good. Okay, so we have a pretty good spectrum. Okay, good. Okay, so it looks like we're in like the right, I'm in the right vicinity here. So this for you, anybody here who has not yet set up a LinkedIn account, you can make that a little bit of homework for yourself later today. It's very simple. You go to linkedin.com and it will show up like this, and you enter your email, whatever email you want to use. You create a password. You can read the privacy and their agreement if you want, and then you click agree and join, and you get a free account. LinkedIn does have a free account. And this sets up your personal profile. And that is really what we're talking about today. There's many facets to LinkedIn, but I'm keeping it simple to get us started today. So we're talking purely about setting up your personal account on LinkedIn and using that to navigate business. To be honest with you, my business, I have a business account, but I only ever use my personal account because the algorithm of LinkedIn likes the personal accounts much better. So let's start off with what is LinkedIn? It is the largest professional network in the world online. It generated $14.5 billion in 2022, and it has a 26% increase year over year. It's 900 million members and growing. It's an equal, almost equal of 57 men, 43 women, and I think they need to update their stats to non-binary, but they haven't, so I can only offer that for now. There's 58 million businesses on LinkedIn and over 65 million decision makers. And decision makers are the people with the money that have the budget to make business purchase decisions. There's over 200 countries on LinkedIn. 16% of the users on LinkedIn are on daily. That I would definitely be one of them. Even if I'm not posting, I'm on LinkedIn engaging, looking at people's posts, and I'm going to walk you through that. What I thought was fascinating, particularly for your demographic, is that the hashtags creativity and entrepreneurship are in the top 10 most used hashtags on LinkedIn. No other social media or community platform comes close to LinkedIn. There's been other companies that have tried, but they just have never come close to LinkedIn. Why is LinkedIn so successful, and what are the perks of being on LinkedIn? Because it is a business mindset. Everybody on LinkedIn has a business mindset. It is a business place with a social angle. LinkedIn members are looking for valuable, informative, and educational content. They are scrolling with intention. So somebody on LinkedIn versus somebody on another social media platform are very different. People on LinkedIn are scrolling with intention, and people on other platforms are more likely looking to be entertained. Looking for ways to enhance, change, or improve their professional experience, Bonus LinkedIn is encouraging more focus on humanity. So it used to be, and you may have heard this, that LinkedIn was very business-like. So, if you ever showed a picture of your family doing something, you would have been criticized on LinkedIn. That is not true anymore. LinkedIn is now embracing and supporting posts that bring in a human angle to them. Because as an integrative coach, I know that we're not just one thing. It's people in careers, it's people in jobs, it's people making the posts. So we can't forget the humanity part of it. And so inspiring stories, success stories of people, interesting facts. And even if you just spend some time going on LinkedIn, you'll see that there's a lot more feed around that. So you can set aside anything you've heard in the past about LinkedIn being very rigid and specifically business oriented. LinkedIn states that because it's a business platform, it offers more qualified leads and resources to search and connect. So I am not getting into this part today. We're keeping it simple and basic just to get ourselves started. But there are additional memberships you can buy on LinkedIn. And they have things like a sales navigator app where you can actually start navigating the system. But for today's purpose, we're not getting into any of that. I just want you to know that as you go, there are future possibilities for you to further expand. The more personal LinkedIn, it's dedicated ways to build your brand and potentially referrals and growing your community. LinkedIn is referred to as your landing page. So there's many companies, particularly small businesses and entrepreneurs, that don't bother with a website. They just use their LinkedIn profile as their landing page or their website. And so that's why we want to make sure that it's the very best. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. Because it is a professional platform, you may get the occasional, guy trying to ask you out on a date, but it's nothing like any other platform. They're few and far between. And LinkedIn is right on top of it, because once a message comes to you, you'll get a message from LinkedIn saying, do you know this person? So they do a really good job of staying on top of everything and making sure that it is a safe and trusted community. They really pride themselves on that. And that is how they are the most dominant professional network. They are able to assist all of us, both professionals, entrepreneurs, and businesses, in ways that other networks just are not able to do. Quality over quantity. LinkedIn provides a positive environment for marketing. It's not about posting on LinkedIn every day like it may be on another platform. It's about doing quality posts. I'll get into a little bit more about that later. It's helping entrepreneurs and businesses connect to each other. So doing business to business marketing, sales, my world of, partnerships with corporations, promotions, networking, community building, expanding brand awareness of what you're doing, and educating audiences with workshops and masterclasses. I've done workshops and attended workshops on LinkedIn, and it's another great way to interact with your community, to start figuring out what the people in your community might be intrigued by, for them to start to get to know you. As a coach, when you do something like that, you're just building relationships with people. Doing workshops and posting and sharing videos on LinkedIn are just ways of letting people get to know you and building trust with your audience. Because when people trust you, they will connect with you. LinkedIn, quite frankly, is one of the greatest examples of a brand that is very clear on its niche. They do not waver from what they are. They do not waver from who they serve. And they are truly dedicated and committed to providing a safe, trusting business platform. So the question really is what you're doing with your business, are you very clear on your niche and who you're talking to? So I wanted to spend the next few minutes talking about building a niche and creating a niche and why it is so important. So I'd like everybody in the chat box once again to share. You can do 1, 2, 3, 4 of who here has a clearly defined niche? And niche is another, marketing term for audience. Who are the people you want to talk to? Yes, 3, good, 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 good. Okay, good. So we have a fair range. Okay, good. The thing about a niche also, I can tell you this, is that it does change as we evolve. It will transfer. Once you create a niche, it doesn't mean that you stay with that niche forever. It will evolve as you get deeper into your business and start to see who's connecting with you and start to build your business. And that's how it's intended to be. Who I started out serving 8 years ago is not really who I've served, because I've learned who I serve the best, where my skill set is the best. So who is your audience? Every successful entrepreneur and business has this. They identify, it's done so by taking the time to identify their audience. It helps you build the foundation of the business and it sets you up for success. Getting clear on your niche, particularly for social media, is really important, because what it allows you to do is to create relevant and engaging content to your audience. You are not going to be for everybody, so don't try to be. Not everybody's for me, and I'm not for everybody, and that's okay. I'm talking to my people. When I post on LinkedIn, you might read some of my posts, have no idea what I'm talking about, but I know that my people know what I'm talking about. So that's why we want to get really clear, so that we can make sure that the content that we're sharing and posting and commenting on is relevant to who we want to connect with. We want to make sure it resonates with them, because the more it resonates with them, the more trust they build and the stronger relationship you create. So what I wanted to do is get everybody to spend the next 10 minutes looking at these questions. If you've done it already, just humor me and do it again. And just look at these questions. And one of the things I say to people is, if you're not sure, look back at who's bought your art or photography or any of your works before, because there's a really good clue in that. So you can go off video if you want and come back in 10 minutes. It's 1:23, so we'll come back at just before 25:2. But go and spend 10 minutes. I'll leave this up on the screen, of course, and write out what you can answer to any of these questions about who it is you would like to talk to. It doesn't necessarily mean who you're talking to right now. It's who you would like to talk to. At the end of the workshop, I'm going to drop a link for a more detailed niche worksheet. It's just a Word document that will ask you some questions and might help you further define your niche. So I'll do that at the end. Okay, so let's move on. So one of the things I like to encourage everyone to do when they're looking at what they want to develop in their business and how they want to do it is to come from a place of being curious and creative. Now, creative is something you all know, given what you do for a living, but to add the curiosity component to it. And curiosity allows us to be much more free when we do it. It kind of removes criticism or fear of any of those things, to just be curious about it. So that's another mindset reset as you're doing this, to start getting curious about what is possible on LinkedIn instead of afraid of it. There's no question that identifying our niche or who our audience is key to developing your LinkedIn profile and the content you're going to post on LinkedIn. So that is why I've kind of had you start doing it. I've seen some of you are quite down the road in doing it, which is great, but it's definitely something you want to spend the time taking a look at and trying to figure out. And as I said, it doesn't mean if you decide it today that that's what you're going to be doing forever. It will evolve and change as you go, but at least it gives you a good starting point. So I will drop the full link at the end of the workshop in the chat box. So now we're going to move on to creating your profile. And as I said, some people actually just use their LinkedIn profile as their website or landing page. It's got everything that you need. So let's dive into creating a profile. As I said, it is like a profile. When people, and especially your ideal clients, search you on Google, your type of services and even your industry, LinkedIn is the first thing that Google displays. So if anybody Googles anything on LinkedIn, on Google, LinkedIn is the first thing that comes up. So if for no other reason, it's worth having a LinkedIn profile. Just for that, that when anybody Googles anything around what you're doing or what you're interested in developing as a business, you want to be one of the people coming up in that. The other part that we want to do is optimizing your profile is using search engine optimization, SEO as it's called. I'm sure some of you have heard of that. Keywords in your profile. So you're making it easier for people to find you and identify. So when anybody on LinkedIn or on Google, puts in art or buying art or local artists or anything like that, that your profile is going to come up because you've got those words included in your profile. How do you come up with what your search engine optimization? Whereas I was like, what is that? So how you do that is you start Googling. So you literally get curious and you start playing around and you get on Google and you start putting in words. Ask people, if you were looking for art or photography, how would you search it? Start talking to people and asking people and just start putting the searches in yourself. You can do the same thing on LinkedIn, which I'm going to show you. They have a search section and you can start putting in, and it'll start telling you on LinkedIn, it'll tell you not only what you search, but it'll give you a list of other most common words around that topic searched. And that's how you start building your search engine optimization words to put in your profile. What are the ideal words that you think your clients might be looking for? And again, if you don't know, I'm a big promoter of ask people, talk to your people and ask them. You could even do, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this, on LinkedIn, you're allowed to do polls. So you can actually put a poll on LinkedIn and you could ask the questions that you want to know from your audience. So if you're wondering, how do you buy art? You could make a poll. How do you buy art? Yes, give them some ideas. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. So there's all kinds of ways. So we don't want to ever make assumptions. We want to start asking and connecting and talking to people and finding out. You might be surprised at what you learn. So as I mentioned earlier, this is what you can do. So up here, you can see, I just put in the word in artist on LinkedIn, and this is what it brought up. You can tell it that it's helpful or not. And then it brought up people also searched for art, illustrator, graphic designer, painter, drawing, art director. And you can see on the bottom here, it's got up to 100 pages. So you're going to get a lot of intel there. The ones that have come up here are the most popular and the ones you probably want to use. But it's that simple that you can do it. So it's just time about getting curious. There's no super fancy formula to doing this. It's just about doing the legwork to figure out what's happening and how people are looking at this. When you're doing your profile, so there's several sections. I put stars around when you're doing your profile, you want to make sure you have these topics covered on your profile. You can hire a professional copywriter if you want to write your profile. Your header, which I'm going to show you, name, title, role, headline. Featured is a really cool feature on LinkedIn, which I'm going to show you. Activity, and that's where you can go and see your posts, any posts that you've commented on, and any other activity that you've had. You can also go on to other people's profiles, which is the cool thing, and look up at what posts theirs have been and where they've commented and what their activity in. And there's something in the settings with LinkedIn where you can be completely anonymous to go look in other people's profiles so they won't know. It'll just say LinkedIn user. Or you can have it let them know that you were looking. Likewise, you can have people look at your profile and LinkedIn will tell you who's looked at your profile. So you can get a report every day and notifications of who's looked at your profile, who's followed you, who's sent you an invite, connect. Your about section, this is the part where you're talking about you, where you are, what you do. I like to get into stories because I find stories are one of the greatest marketing tools we can use. And just like Lisa and Barbara were asking me about what I do as a coach, so I told them a story about one of my clients. So it's something like that. Marketing stories are really powerful, and it brings that human connection that everybody's looking for, in particular LinkedIn is looking for. Your experience, of course, because that demonstrates your expertise and your education and your license and certifications. Those all demonstrate what we call authority. And that builds trust. When people recognize that you're an authority in what you do, they start to have more trust for you and they'll start following you. And then recommendations is you can have people, once you start building connections on LinkedIn, you can ask them to go on your profile and write a testimonial or recommendation for you. And it's done on LinkedIn. You can't edit it, but it gets sent to you for approval. If there's anything you want them to change, you can send it back and say, would you mind just adding this? And then you start building. So these are all about building authority and trust on LinkedIn. The other areas are volunteering, skills, honors and awards. If you have any of those, you might want to include them, languages and interests. But great if you're going to do all of them. But if you're going to only do some of them, these are the ones that I have starred that I suggest that you consider doing. So this is my profile. And so what I've done here, you want to, of course, have a professional picture. If you don't have a picture, I know some really good photographers are on here. So make sure you get some professional photography. It's really important. You're talking to a professional audience. And then you're going to create a header. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. What I've done here is I put, I'm building trust and authority. And I've listed all the different places or some of the places that I have been featured or spoken on or been on their shows. Then we get down here. So my name, using emojis in your headline. So where it says Deborah Gemmell, the evolution, this is what you would call your headliner. And that's where you want to use an emoji. And it just attracts attention when people are scrolling through the profile. It's not just letters, but that you have an actually, and you'll notice different people on LinkedIn have this happening. I, of course, have a coach myself, and these are the things that I have learned. And one of the things, my tips to you is be clear, not clever. Don't try to come up with fancy words or things that rhyme or anything like that. Be clear, not clever about what you do. So mine is very straightforward. I am a leadership and success mindset mentor in life and business and a marketing consultant. That's it. Nice and clean. When you read that, you understand what it is that I do. Then you can have an opportunity to go in to do some hashtags. It's neither here nor there. Then it has the contact info, and that's where you can put your phone number, your email, ways people can get a hold of you. If you have a website, I do, you can go and put your website link right here. And then this tells you how many followers you have and then how many connections you have. With connections, it always shows 5. Once you pass 500, it shows 500 plus. As you're building up to 500, it will just show the number that you actually have. And it's fairly straightforward. And then followers, which I'm going to talk a little bit about later. And up here on the right-hand side, the edit profile and URL. So this is where you actually get the URL that LinkedIn creates for you when you open your profile. And you can make it be whatever. So mine is my name, LinkedIn, and then it says Success Mindset Mentor. So you can edit it if you want to, but if you're wanting to share your LinkedIn profile with anybody, that is where you would go and get it. It's right there and you can grab it. And as I said, you can change it or edit it if you wish. So I've talked a little bit about this. So using programs like Canva, I'm going to talk about that. I'm not sure how many people here are familiar with Canva, but it's a super user-friendly design platform, graphic design platform. Anybody can use it. And it supports all social media platforms. So you can actually put up in the finding, you can put in LinkedIn header, and it will automatically populate LinkedIn header format, an exact size that you need to be for LinkedIn. It will even down the side give you some different examples or designs if you want to take them and edit them. So if you haven't checked out Canva, definitely check it out, canva.com. They also offer a free membership to get started. I've talked about the headline and using the SEO words. You're going to go do your little bit of homework and find out what words seem to be key and add them into your headline, contact info, and then the URL. So when we do, so probably one of the most important sections besides being people are able to contact you is your about section. And this is where you're going to talk about you. And this is where people on LinkedIn are going to go and read about you. They're going to be curious and want to know about you. So this is where you want to talk about yourself and what you do. So ask yourself the question, what would you like visitors to know about you? What distinguishes you from other people that do what you do? What makes you you? So you want to kind of think about that when you're writing your profile. And as I said, you're welcome to get a copywriter to help you do your profile. As I mentioned earlier, telling stories or past client experiences are great. You can put even more testimonials in there if you like. Storytelling is in marketing, whatever kind of marketing you're doing, it is one of the most powerful tools because, as I said, it brings the humanity angle to business. Your profile is where people are going to learn about you. So you want it to represent you. And again, it can be a work in progress. You might write it and then edit it and do a clean sweep. You can also put a link at the bottom of your profile if you want people to call you. You can put a phone number or an email for people to call you. And then getting testimonials and posting those as one of your posts during the week, and then adding them in your feature section. I'm going to show you that in a sec. Is it probably one of the best ways is let other people speak about you and your work and their experience with you and what they've loved about whatever it is that they've had with you, whether it's work or experience. It's the best way for people to be able to come to understand you and trust you. When you're writing out your experience in different projects you've had, maybe you are working for an organization or you're an entrepreneur, you usually don't want to go past more than 5 of your most recent relevant roles and projects. Education, of course, again, as I talked earlier about building your authority and expertise and demonstrating that. And then if you have received any licenses or certifications, to focus on at least the most relevant, the top 3. People are busy. They're going to read some of the things, but they're probably not going to read all. So make sure that you choose things wisely. So I mentioned earlier about the feature section. So this is the feature section. It's just under your header. And what this does is so what I do is I will post a testimonial. When a client sends me a testimonial, I will share it on LinkedIn and share, about the privilege it has been to help them and serve them. And then I'll share what they wrote about me. And then I can take that post. I just click on this plus sign here and I just add the post and it pops it right here. So this featured section is like a banner or an advertisement that anybody that comes to your profile will see anytime they look. Kind of like a highlight reel. I'll just talk quickly about the menu up here. So your home is your home page. Your network is, we're going to talk about that shortly, but that's where you're going to start connecting and building your community. We're not talking about jobs today. Messages are where people send you messages, or you can send messages. And it will give you notifications. And then notifications is if somebody's followed you, or if somebody's liked or commented on your post. You will get all the notifications here. So I feel like we had, I'm going to just, I guess, give us just a 5-minute break. I know this is a lot of information coming at you, so I'm going to just shorten this down to 5 minutes. So go do some jumping jacks, go jog on the spot, go get some water, use the facilities. do whatever you need to do to kind of reset and come back. And I will see you back here in 5 minutes, which means it'll be about 5 to 2. Okay, so let's jump in for, just want to be mindful of time. So this is another mindset reset. Whenever you're working with social media, in particular a platform like LinkedIn, you've got to commit to the long game. It's the old story of the 25-year overnight success. It's something you have to commit to. You have to decide that this is the platform for you, and you're going to commit to doing different actions every week. And what I like to say as a coach is, don't focus on the numbers and the results and the likes. Focus on the actions you're taking every day. What am I doing today? What is the next best move I can make today to continue growing my network on LinkedIn? Don't look at, oh, I only got 25 people, or don't look at that. Focus on your actions of what you can do. That's within your power. The other part is out of your control. Whether people accept your invitations, whether people follow you, that's out of your control. So put your time and energy into where you can make the difference, and that is focusing. I love the saying that, if you plant a tree today, you don't expect it to give you fruit and shade tomorrow. It takes time to build this up. Anything worth doing takes time to do it, and building a community on LinkedIn is definitely no different. So ways to build communities on LinkedIn is making connections. So the first thing I would encourage you to do is, you already have a community. Go look at your emails. Go look at your phone. Go look at who texts you. Go look at the phone numbers you've got in your phone. You've already got a community around you. So start there. A lot of them, you may have their email address. You may not. If you have people you text frequently that you'd like to bring them into your LinkedIn, send them a quick text and say, I'm going on LinkedIn. Would you send me an email so I can then send you an invite? So start there. You already have a community of people around you, and it is the best way. And I'll explain, why that works and how it starts to have a ripple effect. The other way to do it is, with the 900 million users on LinkedIn, is start following other people. Even if you only have 3 connections so far, start following other people on LinkedIn. Start finding who you like, because once you start following them, you start to get out there. If you want to be really brave, you can start liking and commenting on other people's posts first, just to get comfortable with it. So you can see a post, there's always lots of companies doing different great quotes. So you could just go on and say, love that quote, or give another quote that you like. So you can start warming yourself up to getting seen on LinkedIn by starting to follow and comment on other people's posts. Join groups of interests. What interests you? LinkedIn has all kinds of different people and different groups on the LinkedIn. So what groups would interest you to be a part of? I follow everything from like stock market people to marketing people to, there's even dogs on LinkedIn. So there's all kinds of different communities. So play around with it. Again, get curious about the different communities you might like to be a part of. And then, of course, you can bring your business hat to that and start figuring out, where might your ideal clients be hanging out? Where are the people that you want to connect with hanging out? And start joining those groups as well. The one thing that is really, really important, because I mentioned earlier that LinkedIn takes the platform very seriously. They really mind what people are doing and how they're doing it and how they're showing up. So a lot of the groups have rules like no selling. You can't come in the group and try and sell anything to anybody. If you do, they're going to kick you out of the group. So again, it's all about relationships, and I'm going to talk about a bit more about that. So you want to be very mindful that when you join the group, that you check and make sure what the group guidelines are. And as with everything, it is more about building a relationship. So mind that. The other thing is we call it LinkedIn jail. And this isn't to scare you, but it's to let you know that it's a reality, that on LinkedIn, you're allowed to send out 100 invitations a week for new people. You can send out 100 invitations. If you exceed that, you'll get a warning from LinkedIn. Some people come on and try to send out 1,000 invites. LinkedIn will lock your account. We call it LinkedIn jail. It's a bit of a running joke. I've been put in LinkedIn jail. My coach has been put in LinkedIn jail. So it happens. It's not a big deal. They put it back up a couple of days later. But it's just really to let you know and actually appreciate how serious LinkedIn takes this and how much they guard the platform and the professional relationships that people are trying to build. So I don't see it as a negative. I'm really glad that they're watching what's going on and making sure that it is staying to be a safe place to be. So I view it as a positive. What I like to say to people is, and this is from a 25-year, sales and marketing career, is would you ever walk up to someone at a party that you've never met before and just walk up to them and say, would you like to buy my painting? Would you do that? Yes or no in the chat box. Right. Social media is no different. It is the same thing. We are building relationships. We're not, the fastest. Walk into any retail store and the sales clerk comes up to you and they're on you. You can't get out of the store fast enough. So we don't want to be doing that. We want to be building relationships. It's the same thing. So if you take nothing else from today, please take this with you. In selling, you're not selling, you're opening a relationship. You are never, ever selling. I am never selling anybody. I am looking at what I do and seeing if it is something that is beneficial and of interest to you. And if it is, then we can talk. And if it isn't, it's okay. So this is a game changer for everybody. And it might take a little bit to get your mindset, but really we call it also in coaching, needy is creepy. We don't want to do icky sales. And I bet you a lot of you have avoided LinkedIn because you don't like that icky sales stuff. You're almost relieved that I am saying to you, you don't have to sell. You're just going to connect to people. It's a lot more fun and it's much more authentic and you will get much further. I am constantly hit up in my message box from people on LinkedIn that connect with me and 3 seconds later, I'm like, do you want to buy this? I'm going to get you this. I just delete them. I'm not interested. So we don't want to be doing that. So hopefully I've just given you some good news. Take a picture of this with your phone if you want to make sure that you can really start getting that into your mindset. You are opening a relationship. You are never selling. As I said, that's from 25 years of my business development. So I wanted to go to TD Bank. I had the movie, The Hulk, coming out in theaters. I needed some promotional partners to put the movie on their branding. I went to TD Bank because I thought they could do this whole amazing grow your green. And so I went with the idea and I sat down and we had a great conversation and they bought it. I didn't have to sell them anything. I had something that I thought was a benefit to them. I talked to them about it. They agreed and we did a deal. So that's really what it comes down to. I went to Purina cat food when I was doing Cat in the Hat. And again, they'd never done any sort of promotional branding with the movie. So I said, well, we're doing this movie. We think it would be really fun if you put the cat in the hat all over your bags. They said, we agree. They bought it. We did a deal. So it's finding that. And all I was doing was opening relationships with people. And because I did that, I never pressured them. If they didn't want to buy it, that was fine. I was not attached to their results or them agreeing. I didn't take it personally. But what ended up happening because I did that was I built relationships with these people. And so then these companies started repeatedly coming back to me for the next movie promotion. So companies buying 2 and 3 different movies from me because they liked what they were getting, they enjoyed the experience, and they were getting a benefit from what they were doing. All because I valued and was taught by an amazing entrepreneur that it was all about relationships. I was never selling anybody. We want to, when we are, as I said, commit to the long game here. This is the long game. There's no fast track on social media. That's why focusing on your actions, not your results, is key. And we want to always be looking at delivering added value content. It doesn't have to be complicated, but again, it's about talking to people and thinking about What would my audience like? What are something about what I do that they might not know? And sometimes it can be the simplest thing that you assume someone knows and they don't. So you can start getting curious about the different things that you do for your business or your design or your education or what you know about art or photography, that someone like me who isn't in that industry would find it intriguing to learn that. Get creative. And again, ask people if you're not sure. This isn't to say you may not make sales during this process, because I have. I've invited people in a message to come and do a case study with me. I invited one lady, I forgot I'd even invited her. I know that sounds bad. I invited her on May 30th, June, July, August 1st, she responded. 2 months later, she responded and she became a client. So we don't know where people are at. And that's again why we don't want to look at the results. We want to focus on the actions we're taking. And as I mentioned earlier, it's a coaching term, but we don't want to be needy and trying to sell. It's creepy and it's the fastest repellent to get people to resist. It doesn't bring them in at all. So these are the ways that we can build a community on LinkedIn. So there's 3 types. The first degree, which is people who have accepted your invitation. So this would be when you go and check who's already in your email database, who's already in your phone, who do you text quite frequently. You'll be surprised at how many of those people are already on LinkedIn. And so if you start going 100 people a week, keeping in the rules of LinkedIn, you'll start building. By the end of the month, you'll have 400 people. The next month, you'll have 800 people, and it just starts going. So that's the first degree. So, Lisa's my friend, so I'm directed. So Lisa's in my first degree connection. Second degree connection are people that Lisa knows. I didn't know Barbara, but Lisa introduced me to Barbara. So now I know Barbara. So Barbara would be a second degree connection to me now. And then there's all the people that Barbara knows that I don't know. Those would be your third degree. Make sense? That you can see how first you have Lisa's people, then you have Barbara's people and Lisa's people, and then you have all the people that Barbara, you can see how it very rapidly pyramids out. And that's, in a sea of 900 million users on LinkedIn. So it doesn't take much to get going. It just takes you having the courage to start taking the small actions. As I've said, begin by inviting people you already know in your email list, your neighbors, your friends, your bridge club, your art class, wherever, your teachers, wherever you go. Most likely, most of them are LinkedIn. Look at the schools that you've gone to. They're probably all on LinkedIn too. Look at the different art galleries. They're on LinkedIn too. Get creative. It's an oyster of people that you can connect with. And I always say that you know more people than you think you know. One of the tips with LinkedIn is you'll have better success unless, of course, if I sent Lisa a connection, she would accept it. But if I sent Barbara a connection and she didn't really know me, one of the tips from LinkedIn is always send a note to your request. Don't just hit connect. It gives you hit connect. I'm going to show you in a sec. And you can type a little note saying, hey, I love what you're doing. I'd love to connect with you. You will have a much higher acceptance response rate if you take that 1 second to write 5 words. Here's an example. I just joined LinkedIn and would love to connect and see more of your content and share my content with you. And as I mentioned, really important and worth repeating, LinkedIn limits it to 100 per week. And again, they're not doing that because they're trying to be difficult. They're doing that because they're protecting the integrity of the platform. So we want to appreciate that they're doing that, not be mad at them because they're doing that. It helps LinkedIn stay as a professional, trustworthy platform it is. If you're hosting a workshop, I sometimes do workshops on LinkedIn. You might want to do a particular workshop on, let me see if I can think of a good example. Perhaps people out there are intrigued by your favorite, whoever your favorite artist is, or who inspired you as a young person to get into art. and you might want to do a workshop around that person and the history of them, you can invite up to 1,000 people from your first degree. So I can invite 1,000 Lisas to my workshop. So that's where once you start you're growing your audience, you can start really having people coming out to your different events. And those are just ways to engage them. So this is really searching potential connections on LinkedIn. So like I said, probably a lot of your people are already on LinkedIn and you just don't know it. So you can go up to this right here. I live in this blue line. I'm constantly looking for things. So I just put in a VP fashion and it brought up these people, and see, it's telling me who's a first degree. So people in my network, who are people of my network, and then who are the third tier people out there. So it tells you straight up there which one you want. And then there are all these different people here that I can click on their name. So I think I picked Jim, so we can click on Jim's name and we can go and take a look, and I get his job title. So this is why your little headline, you want it to be very clear. So I very clearly know that he's a senior vice president and head of MediaCom. So I know he's a decision maker. So I clicked on Jim. I don't know Jim at all. But he's going to see that Deborah Gemmell checked his profile out. And I can see that I want to actually know Jim, because right here it's telling me that 38 plus 2, so 40 of my mutual connections, we know the same 40 people. So that in itself is a reason that I could say, hey, Jim, I see we have 40 mutual connections, love to connect directly. So it's a wealth of information. It tells you what university you went to. And then, of course, this is his about section that you might want to read. So he might be someone. And then what happens, let me see if I did this. I think I did. Once you hit that connect button, so once you click on this connect button right here, it brings you to this screen. And it brings up this, your invitation is almost on its way. You can add personal note. And this is LinkedIn basically giving you a nudge and telling you do it. And then it pops up this screen and you can just type in your little note. And you can, for ease, you can have, 3 or 4 different notes that you want to write that you've pre-done. So you can just cut and paste them if you want. But yeah, it's really something, again, it keeps LinkedIn being, a high class, well-respected and trusted platform. So that's really about connecting. And again, I just encourage you to get the courage up and just start playing around with it and see what you discover. The next part, so that is building our connections in our community, and definitely it's the long game of doing that. The next part is following. And I will say that I would fully expect a lot of you to have sent me connection requests by the end of this workshop today, because I'm a great person for you to practice on. And you can look me up and you can do all that, and it's just me, so you don't have to worry. The next part of this is the following. So following people. So you have connection requests 100 a week. There's no limitation on how many people you follow. So you can, again, just start going and looking at different posts. And if you like what their content is, you can go look at their profile, like I showed you, and see if you like their content, and you can start following them. Some people who have massive followings don't let you connect with them. They just, celebrities in that, you can just simply follow them. But this is another really great way to grow your audience of following. And then you'll start discovering that people will start following you when you start posting. Or so you search different topics and find different people. What you can do, and what I spend time doing, is I just go onto LinkedIn, I start reading some people's posts. You can like, you can heart, you can share, support, you can applaud. So pick one of those and then drop down, and where you get the most traction is if you actually take a minute and write a comment. Loved your post today. This was a great insight. Thanks for sharing this. Any kind, something really simple. Grab a line from the thing that you really liked and hit like. And now you're going to be on that person's post. So again, it starts to get you out there. So these are kind of like baby steps you can take. Sending me a connection request, starting with your people going into your follows and starting following people and making comments on other people's posts and liking them. You're starting to grow your community, and you will be surprised at how many people, when you like that, they'll turn around and start following you too. Follow the ones that are interest of you. So if you know, like, say, for example, you're wanting to sell art to some corporate organizations, start looking up those organizations. I guarantee you they have a profile on LinkedIn. So if you're wanting to go to Cadillac Fairview, Google Cadillac Fairview and start following the company. It'll tell you how many employees are on there. So there's many ways that you can create your audience on here. And as I said, you can really see how quickly it starts building your community. And as I just mentioned, joining different groups, there's all kinds, there's marketing groups, there's stock market groups, it doesn't have to just be about art. In fact, I encourage you to broaden your horizons. If you're a pet lover or a plant lover or gardener or a surfer or whatever you are, join those groups too, because we're human beings first. And if you have an interest, then you can have a conversation with somebody about surfing or any of the other things. So again, it's building that connection, that relationship always. Ask to join the group. And like I think I mentioned earlier, a lot of the groups will have a rule that there's no selling. So you can share content. You can see if you're allowed to invite people to something that you're doing. But you can at least go in and comment on different people's posts in that group and do the following and liking process there. So really the question to ask yourself again is the groups you want to be a part of, and then your business hat of where might your ideal clients be hanging out? You know, are they Zoomers? Zoomers got a LinkedIn page. You know, I looked up a couple of things. So I put in here art buyers group. So I did this little search here, art buyers group, and I got, these came up. 210 results came up. I can't show you all of them, but modern art, contemporary art, sellers, buyers, and investors, fine art, photography, artist, seller. These are all groups you might like to join. Does that make sense? Good. So, and again, in this little line here, you can put anything you want in there. That's the fun of it. And nobody knows you're doing this. They don't know that you've looked. The companies don't have any idea. So you can just play around with it and go and see what these 210 results are. So once you've started building your community and connections on LinkedIn, it'll start providing you with suggestions of other people you can connect with. So once you start doing that, down the sidebar, LinkedIn it sends me emails all the time. Oh, you and so know 13 of the same people, connect. So it wants to help you build your community. So it's LinkedIn's super supportive of that. So it'll start giving you suggestions, people you went to school, because you put your school in your profile, people, companies that you've worked with, people who have similar certifications to you. It'll start giving you recommendations based on what you have put in your profile. What I like to suggest is, we are playing with an algorithm here. So because we do 100 connections, we're allowed to do 100 connections. It's important to go into, once you've sent them out, so manage invitations, go into sent. You don't want to have 100 invitations not accepted. So you want to manage that. So once you send it 100, I let it usually go about 2 weeks, then go back in, and anybody that hasn't accepted your invitation in 2 weeks isn't going to, they probably don't get on LinkedIn that often or whatever's going on, delete them, get rid of them, because it kind of becomes a drag on the algorithm for you that, LinkedIn says, oh, they're not accepting their invitations, we won't promote their content. So you want to be mindful of mastering how many you've sent out. And then every 2 weeks, I like to go in every 2 weeks and I go and check, and I just delete the ones that are 2 weeks or older. And that just, again, keeps your algorithm lighter. And the most important part, the mindset, again, don't take it personally. It's not a reflection of you if someone doesn't accept your invitation. They probably don't get on LinkedIn that often. We don't know. So don't go there. Keep your energy in the actions you're taking to move yourself forward. They didn't accept it? Great. Just delete them and go on to the next person. No means next one or next opportunity. No, next one or next opportunity. So these are my own personal, they all funny enough start with C, which I thought became a thing, but these are the things, the kind of the guidelines I try to follow, my golden rules that I wanted to share with you. The way to be successful on LinkedIn is commit. Commit to doing this, commit to playing the long game. Being consistent, consistently posting, consistently going on and looking for followers, consistently comment and following. You can decide what consistency is for you, but be consistent with it because the algorithm recognizes that. If you come on once and then don't come back for 3 weeks, and then you're not going to get very far. But if you come in every week, what I do is Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays is when I commit to posting. And I will do my post the night before, the day before. Sometimes I'm winging it and doing it the morning of, that's okay. But I try every week, progress not perfection, to post Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. And Sundays, I always try to make it a personal post. So I'll do something, you know, I think I did one about a rainbow. I'm going to show it to you. So consistency in anything in life that we want to change or grow and evolve is key to the process. Connection, of course, connecting with people. You already know lots of people. Start bringing them into your LinkedIn community. Community, of course, that is what this is all about, is community. And then the last one is content, the content that we're going to share and post on LinkedIn. What is the content? You can see there's no word and no form of sales on my list at all. Not one speck of it. We're not doing that. We're committing, we're being consistent, we're connecting, we're building a community, and we're giving value-added content. So there's different kinds of posts that we can do on LinkedIn. And I call them styles, but there's different ways to engage on LinkedIn. So you can do a text-only post. You can do a text and a photo. And again, Canva is a great place for you to learn how to use that and make photos. You can do an image only. I will often do quotes. I'm going to show you some examples. You can do a live video, and you can talk in a video. I tend to like talking more than writing. Writing is not my most favorite thing to do, but I challenge myself to do it. And you can use different platforms like YouTube, Loom, or even your video on your camera to make a quick little 1-minute video. Be mindful, people are busy, right? So nobody's going to sit and watch a 15-minute video, but you can do a quick 1 or 2-minute video. And then polls, which I mentioned earlier, it's a great way to get people to engage with your post. And I use it to find out information that I need to know. Let me see if I think I made some examples for you. So this is an example of a quote that I did. So if you're going to compare, make it about where you are today versus yesterday, rather than compare yourself to others. Super simple, designed it in Canva, put my little logo, and I had 59 people like it. Really easy. Took me 1 minute to do that. And then I used hashtags. I'm going to kind of stay away from hashtags today because I think this is already enough to get you going. But so that would be an example of a quote. This is a text-only post, and they're typically the ones I do the most often. So what I thought would make me prosperous and happy, and you can see that I'm using emojis. And emojis, again, when people are scrolling, when there's emojis, little stars, rainbows, it catches people's eye. And I just wrote out, different things. This may not make sense to you, but to my people, this makes sense. And so that's a text-only post. This is a text and photo, and this is a Sunday post that I did because I went to Niagara Falls we were getting soaked in the rain. And as we were running, trying to get out of the rain, we came across this amazing rainbow and suddenly stopped and got completely soaked staring at the rainbow. And that's literally the story that I said is about, it's amazing the things that'll stop us in our track. Light, fun, entertaining, a nice post for somebody on a Sunday afternoon to read. So I want you to see that it's okay to do those kinds of posts, because I bring it back to humanity of, that a rainbow stopped us in our tracks and made us pause and take a minute. Doing videos. This is a video that I've done. I've used captions to do it. I use YouTube. I go onto my YouTube account and I do a 1 or 2 minute. I always max at 2 minutes of video. I think as you go into the other social media workshops, you'll hear the same thing from them, that 1 or 2 minutes videos on social media is good. And I just give them a little tag of what is, is it possible that sometimes when you feel guilty, it may be a good sign. And that gives somebody a clue of what it is. And again, you can see I'm using the emojis. This is a poll that I did. So this is a style of poll. So I was curious because I went to a party on my own. I didn't know anybody. And I was talking to a few people there, and it was surprising to me how many people were actually uncomfortable to be at the party on their own. So I was curious about how many people would actually go to a party. So I did a little poll on it. So again, light topic, nothing heavy, but surprisingly, the results were 76% of the people said that they would go. So whatever question or you're curious about, you'd like to know, you can do exactly the same thing. You ask the question, you give a variety of different options. It's very easy to follow, to set it up. And then LinkedIn for the week will track it. So the things that I've shown you, so I've shown you can do a quote post. I've shown you can do a text only. I've shown you a text with photo, the one with the rainbow. I've shown you a video, and I've shown you polls. Which one of these from 1 to 5 do you think is the most popular and most well recognized by LinkedIn? Surprisingly, it's text only. LinkedIn recognizes text only posts more than any other post. So that's where the stories, because you're creative people and you're selling art, that's where telling stories becomes key. Connecting to humanity in your posts. Engaging on LinkedIn, as I said earlier, I spend 3 days a week. I do Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. It takes me about an hour and a half each time to write the post. Go on, I write the post, I post it, and then I go and spend time engaging on other people's posts in that time, so that my algorithm, when I post, starts to pick up me also getting traction on other people's posts. So there is a little bit of that game that you're playing here. And the people that I've met on LinkedIn, I now have a client who is also a very dear friend that we met during COVID on LinkedIn, and he's in Germany. I've never met him, but he just invited me to his wedding. So you really do build relationships on here. And then he just came to me for coaching because he lost his job and he was feeling stressed out. So now I'm coaching him. He's invited me into a mastermind network with his connections. So now I'm in that community. So you really do build relationships on here. This gentleman, Kahal, I've never met this man, but he starts now mentioning me in his posts. And he says, I want to recognize and appreciate all the experts, coaches here. And he puts my name there. I don't know this man, but I engaged on his posts and I liked his posts and I liked and commented. And he's paying back by recognizing me on his post. So that means now his community is getting to see me. I didn't know these people. I've never met them. They're my connections now on LinkedIn. And Kahal has 17,000 followers. So that means I'm getting into his net. I didn't ask him to do this. He's doing this. So that's really what I wanted you to see about it becoming a community of connecting with people. as I said earlier to you, when we're communicating, when you're doing posts or whatever you're doing, be clear, not clever. Don't try to come up with things that rhyme or fancy words or anything like that. Just be really clear about it. Clear about your profile, clear about what you do, clear about what your post is saying. Just be clear. We don't have to be fancy. It doesn't really, it might make sense to us. It won't make sense to other people. So that's really a lot of the tactics around LinkedIn that will give you more than a really good start to get going. And like I said, I fully expect to see a whole bunch of invitations in my LinkedIn account when I go back and open it after the workshop, because I'm a safe space for you to start practicing and getting comfortable, breaking the ice and starting to do it. The other thing that I know, especially from my own personal experience, is there's other things that are holding us back. It's not just that we don't know how to do it on LinkedIn. There's something else that's holding us back. And I wondered if anybody would like to take a guess of what that is. Put in the chat box, what's the other thing that might be holding you back from moving forward on LinkedIn? Yeah, exactly. It's our mindset. We create all these stories about things. We don't just do it for LinkedIn. We do it, I'll own it. I do it in all kinds of areas of my life. And it is a thing that stops us. So as a coach, how I see talented professionals most get in their way are these 4 common things. And these are for everybody. It feels scary and uncomfortable. All the people on LinkedIn are better than me. There's all these executives and all these big people on LinkedIn, so they're better than me. I'm not sure what to do or how to get started. Well, you showed up today, so well done, you. And you've already taken the first step by showing up today. You'll take a second step by joining my network, by inviting me. The other one is, which was the big scary one for me, was that I'll make a mistake and everyone will see. I was like, oh God, what are they going to think about me if I make a mistake? Well, I blundered the presentation in the first 3 minutes and none of you are mad at me for it. It's just, I made a mistake. It's okay. We can move on. But we put so much weight on that. So those are the 4 common things I coach people and I see stop people. And it doesn't matter what you're doing. It can be LinkedIn. It can be a project you're working on. It can be asking somebody out on a date. It can be anything. These are the things we tell ourselves. So see if any of these resonate with you. So these are the first, there's 10 of these, but I picked the 4 that I think would probably resonate with most of you. These are the ways that I see talented people get in their own way. The perfecter. So you spend all your time and energy trying to make everything perfect before you ever get to the action part. So you probably haven't taken action, also known as procrastination. The performer, you don't know how to switch off. You're busy, doing this, doing that, getting this done, getting that done, going to this workshop. But you're exhausted doing all of that stuff behind the scenes. So you never actually get to be at the level that you're capable of, because you're spending all the energy, like I talked about, looking at the results instead of looking at the action. What is my next best move right now that I can do? Who cares how many people liked my post? It doesn't matter. What's my next best action? The feeler, this is something, we can really do. We can get caught up in our feelings. Our feelings can be a gift, but if we get so stuck up in like, oh, I don't feel like doing that today. Oh, I feel afraid to do this. We're not going to take action. We just get overwhelmed and not take action. And then the last one, which I was also really good at, was the gatherer. We are an expert who spends lots of time and energy researching, analyzing, gathering data, getting all that stuff, but we never get to the action taking part. You are not alone. These are part of us as human beings, but I'm showing them to you today because I want you to know you're not alone. And I want you to see that these are the things, as much as LinkedIn tactics is what's holding you back. So Put in the chat box if any of those resonate with you. Which ones? 1, 2, 3, 4. I would say all of them for me. Which one of those resonate with you? And what I love the most is that you are taking you're taking a courageous step right now. You are sharing with me. You're opening up and you're being vulnerable and you are sharing. And that is how you move forward. Not easy to do, but as you're watching the feed, you're starting to see you're not alone, and we're not. And that's what coaching does. It lets us be human beings first and to recognize that we're not that different from each other. And what I know to be true is the more perfect we look on the outside, the more there's more stuff going on the inside. How are we for time here? So my answers to these are, I know it feels scary and uncomfortable, but I'm telling you to embrace it. Don't run away from it. Embrace it, because that is where you're going to grow and change and evolve. So embrace it. Start embracing the scary and the uncomfortable. It's not scary for that long. You do it a couple of times and then I post on LinkedIn. I don't even think about it. Yet it's terrified me for 7 weeks to do it. Haunted me. And now I do it. I don't even think about it. The way to face our fears is to take action. Not sure how to get started? Well, you're here, and I applaud you for being here, so well done. Think that maybe you can't do it? So did I, but you absolutely can. You are no different than the 900 million other people on LinkedIn, so you can do it. I will make a mistake. Great, make a mistake. You saw me make a mistake today? Who cares? Nobody cares. Make a mistake. The only people not making mistakes are people not taking action. Don't be that person. Take action. Making mistakes means you're learning and growing and evolving. And that is what we want to be doing. And then imposter syndrome, I hear this all the time. In coaching, I say, don't avoid imposter syndrome, get good at it. Because if you're feeling like an imposter, it means you're in a growing room. You're up leveling your game, you're advancing yourself, and you're getting closer and closer to your goals. So embrace imposter syndrome. Really, everything you are, that you do, that you create, it begins with our thinking. This is the thing that will stop us more than anything else. So I encourage you today to take this mindset with you and start asking yourself what small things you can do. Learn how you can have more energy, more time, more talent, skill. You already have all the things you need to do that. Instead of letting your thinking and fear control you, start taking control of your thinking and fear by taking action. Confidence is a result, not a prerequisite. I said it earlier, it bears repeating. You do not need confidence. All you need is to tap into that amazing amount of courage that you already have in you and start taking small, tiny steps. And every time you do, you build your confidence. You know you've done something. Every one of you has done something that scared you, and then you did it, and you're like, oh, I feel really good now. Do that. We're almost done. So what I want to encourage you to do is to continue to take action. So I'm going to drop the link for the niche worksheet into the chat. I do want to offer additional support to anybody who's interested. And so if you're interested in a 60-minute private strategy session with me, it's $100. Booking, I'm going to drop the booking link in. That's a way for you to take action. I also wanted to do a little course. So on starting on the 19th of June, the Monday, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm creating a course. It's going to be 1 hour each day at 10 in the morning. So we'll do 10 to 11 Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And we'll do a deeper dive into key areas that we've talked about today to help you moving forward. I will drop those links in the chat box. So what I want you to do now is I want you to think about everything you've learned here today. I know I've probably given you a different perspective on things, which I love. That's why I'm here. What is one small action that you are willing to commit to for yourself And I would like you to drop it in the chat box. What is one small action you are leaving here today that you are willing to do to start moving forward? So look at that. You came in, you weren't able to take action, and now you're leaving and you're committing yourself to a little small action to move forward. That's amazing. If you want, you can grab a screenshot of this or a photo, take a photo of this if you want my contact details. And I think we're going to open up the floor now to questions. So let me just see if I can get myself on gallery view so I can see all you fabulous people. Okay, so questions, comments, feedback.
So I know Roger had a question. Roger, do you want to step in?
Yeah, I had a couple of questions in the chat. I'd have to find them in the chat. One of them was on text-only posts. What I questioned was, do you have a recommended link for this? Because I go onto some social medias and even LinkedIn, and I find some people are so long posted that I just can't get to the bottom of them. They're just too time consuming. You know, I'm used to snapping through things. And then that's one question. The other question was, if you're spending 3 hours minimum a week on LinkedIn, do you use other social media or websites, or are you just concentrating on the one media?
Okay, great questions. So first, on LinkedIn, I think variety is the key of the spice of life. So sometimes I'll do a 3-sentence short post. Other times, because it is LinkedIn and people are expecting value-added content, people don't mind a long post. It's not like Instagram or Facebook. People have no problem. People post articles on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So there's, don't take what the other platforms do. LinkedIn is a business platform, so it's fine to do longer posts. But as I said, I like to mix it. So one time I'll do like a 4-sentence one. Other times I'll do a longer story. So mix it up.
Okay.
And then your second question, sorry, can you remind me?
If you're spending 3 hours a week on minimum on LinkedIn, do you actually use other social media platforms or websites, or is it just go to LinkedIn?
Right. So my experience has been, and I've spent a lot of time doing this, is I ended up selecting, I did Facebook, Instagram, and I tried TikTok and LinkedIn. But for my business, I found LinkedIn to be the best place. So that is where I play. So I would encourage you to try different ones and see what works for you. But I found that so that is my primary focus, is LinkedIn. Doesn't mean I don't play around on Instagram every now and again. I'll post a quote on there. But I found it much easier to grow an audience on LinkedIn. I had a heck of a time trying to grow an audience on Instagram. Don't know why, but so that's just my choice. So I encourage you to try different ones, but LinkedIn is my primary platform.
Okay. I was originally on LinkedIn when I was a working scientist, and the problems we had with it was the pretenders. We were getting bombarded as scientists with consultants trying to sell products into our area. So I basically went away from LinkedIn. I presume it's now changed, that there's more of the social form of information switching there now. So
yeah, and it is, again, why I said to look at LinkedIn's management of the system as a good thing, not a bad thing, because they don't want that happening. I get hit up a lot too, but it's getting better. So they're constantly trying to do it. And I think that's why they're 100 connections a week. So they're constantly doing different things too to navigate that. You're definitely going to get people, trying to do that. But we don't want to be those people. That's why I'm so about creating relationships in a community and educating everybody that I teach and coach. It's about that. Those other people just haven't learned to do it in the way that it's
okay.
best.
I have one last question in the chat. It was, I thought on your text post you had hashtags inserted at the bottom. Now, do you create those yourself, or is there a library that you can go to search for them of what's most effective within the LinkedIn system?
Right. So I didn't want to, I know I've already given you a ton of information, so I was trying to streamline it for you. But the amazing thing about LinkedIn is, so if you have a hashtag, you can start typing, say you type creative, LinkedIn will automatically populate all the hashtags with that word in it. And then you can pick the one you want. So if I type in hashtag mindset, it'll start bringing up all the different hashtags that have the word mindset in it. And then you can pick the one you want. So you don't have to have a library or anything. LinkedIn's got it for you.
Does that direct you to specific communities then who are following that
Yeah.
hashtag?
Yeah,
Okay.
people that are following the hashtags. And that's the same on any social media platform. It brings it into that niche.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Kathy, do you want to pipe in?
Sure. Hi. I'm really enjoying the program. And my question is that I wear several hats. So I did join LinkedIn a while ago, but I do interior decorating. I'm an artist and I teach art. And so I just wondered, like, should I have one LinkedIn profile for the one niche thing I do, or do I need to have three? One for teaching, one for art, and one for decorating? Or how does that work? Is that just way too confusing, or?
Yeah, my instinct when you said that was, my instinct for you would be, you know, how can you take that up a level? What's the umbrella of what you do?
Art and
So
painting.
that's what you want to say, creative. And then in your profile, in your about section, you can talk about the various areas. I have a friend who's an interior designer. She has a company called Petite Suite, but she's also a painter. She's an interior designer. She does home renovations. So under that umbrella is all those other things. Does that help?
Yeah, because I wondered, like, if I should edit my existing profile that I haven't logged into in a while, which just talks about interior decorating, because I thought that's where I wanted to make more money, but my heart is in my painting and teaching. So, but I can just edit my profile so that I put all those things in there, right?
Right. But this is where becoming, you know, going back to your niche is so important. Who do you want to be talking to on LinkedIn? You know, we can't be everything for everybody. So,
Right.
you know, are you wanting to build an interior design community where you're going into corporate offices and doing their, so you have to really decide who's your niche and make that your primary voice. Doesn't mean you can't mention that you also do these other things,
Okay.
but you really want to hone in on who your niche is and focus on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
Okay, good.
thanks.
You're welcome.
Hi, actually, Rick, do you want to jump in? Great.
Yep, thank you. I was just wondering if you would recommend duplicating the same posts on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, or does each one have to be different depending on the platform? That's one question. And the second question is, would you recommend upgrading to LinkedIn Premium?
Yeah, it depends on, you know, if you're going to, I have LinkedIn Premium. So it's a paid service. So what I've walked you guys through today is a free personal account on LinkedIn. But if you want to start playing a bigger game, you can start, you know, upping the ante on that and buying paid. So it really depends on if you're going to commit to using the platform and being consistent, the 5 C's that I talked about, then yes, I would encourage you to do that. But if you're still not in a place where you're going to be able to get there every week, you're going to be able to really leverage it, then I would say no. So you have to decide, you know, whether you're ready to commit to doing it and start investing some money into doing that process. With regards to your question about Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, the audience, I have used posts on LinkedIn and I've put them over on, so a quote, a video, I've used them on both. The one rule of thumb to do is don't post on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn on the same day, the same post. So alternate them so that if anybody looks at you, they look at, you know, often when people look at you, they're going to look at not just one platform, right? They're going to also go check your Instagram. So you don't want, when they go, they see the same post on all 3 on the same day. So you want to stagger them. If you do, you know, one on Monday on Facebook, use that one on linked on the Wednesday. So stagger them so you're not doing the same. But I think really, you know, outside of topics, I think you can really do that. And I take I usually go from the LinkedIn because I feel like it's not better, but it's probably the best in class post, and I'll transfer that to Instagram. I don't ever really go from Instagram over to LinkedIn. So
Okay.
I'll take the LinkedIn one, I'll maybe shorten it and edit it, but the theme is still good and I'll take that over. Does that help?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
I was just curious, when I go to my URL, I believe, the profile on LinkedIn, and it has my name and then it has a whole bunch of numbers after it, which
Yeah.
I don't like. If I eliminate those numbers, does that mean I have a button on my website that goes to my LinkedIn? Does that mean that you won't be able to get to me because that's what it's connecting to, that one with all the numbers behind it, my name?
Yeah, but
That, yeah.
yeah, so your button on your website, if it's an actual button, nobody should actually see the URL that's behind that button.
No, they won't, I don't think, but I'm
No.
just wondering, does it change something? If I change that
Yeah,
on my
that's like,
LinkedIn,
oh
will
goodness.
that
That's
affect it?
like, yeah, that's like, you know, if you live at 95 Berkeley and you tell me you live at 95 Berkeley and then you change it to 40 Adelaide, I'm not going to find you anymore.
Right, yeah, that's
The
what I'm thinking.
URL is your address. So just like your
Okay.
house, it's your address.
Okay, so I shouldn't edit that then. I'll just leave it.
No,
Okay.
but yeah, I'm hoping that on your website, wherever your button is to, you know, click LinkedIn, my LinkedIn profile, usually it's an icon, they'll never
Yeah.
see what that URL is. That's kind of behind the
That's right. Okay.
Deb, I can't get access to the Google Doc. It's telling me, actually, I'll tell you in a second. Yeah, I'm getting unauthorized error.
You have to request it. Request the
Okay,
access.
so I have to, that's me. So your technology queen over here, I have to unlock it. So I will do that. You will be able to get it.
And I have a question, if it's okay.
Yes.
So my question is about posting regular based on LinkedIn. I was wondering, is 2 or 3 times a week is overwhelming? It's always my hesitation about like, don't be like bombarding my audience or overwhelm there. So what's your suggestion?
I do two, at least 2 times, usually 3 times a week. So Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And it's not overwhelming. People posting every day is overwhelming. People
Yeah.
posting 3, 4, 5 times a day is overwhelming. But,
Okay.
you know, the best recommendation from my teachers and my trainers is 3 days a week. And when what ends up happening is when you post something, and I talked about the algorithm, when you post something, if you post something 2 hours later, that first one falls off.
Okay, yeah.
So if you post it on Tuesday, the algorithm has that and is moving it for all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday, until you post again on Thursday. And then you post Thursday, that one falls off. Your Thursday one goes and goes until Sunday. Posting every minute or every hour, all you're doing it, they're just falling off. So you're completely wasting your time and energy doing that.
Yeah.
So again, play around with it, but do the mix, do a video, do a text one, do one with an image, do a quote, maybe do a poll, like play around with them and do different ones.
Yep, that totally makes sense. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, thanks, Deb. Great. Anybody else have a question? We're 2 minutes to 3.
Right, so I'm just going to drop the links here into the chat for, this is for the group course. And then I will grab the other one. And this is, the other one is for if you are interested in a 75-minute private strategy session with me to go over your LinkedIn profile, or really whatever it is that you would like to move forward with.
Super. That was amazing. Thank you so much, Deborah.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Well, it's 1 minute left. Anybody have a quick question? If not,
Thank
then
you so
we'll
much, Deborah.
wrap
That
it
was
up.
wonderful.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Deborah.
you.
Thank you for coming.